Live, live. Everyone, because this is for a replay also. Welcome. I am Shaun. I am the author of Redressing, which is a Substack newsletter about fashion. Today, we're not talking about fashion. I have met Tasha Chen, who is a wealth coach who works with women. And I'm really fascinated by the work that she does. She's the author of a book called Dear Wealthy Me, and she's just come on. Hello, Bernita. Welcome. Tasha Chen has just come on the Substack, and she's already kicked off a 30-day challenge of writing a letter to your wealthy self. And there's a lot of interesting science that I'm hoping she will tell us about how doing that simple act of journaling, but in a very specific way, rewires your brain so that you can achieve the wealth that you want. And we're not just talking about, let's get some money in the bank. I know we all want that. I do too. But wealth is like a bigger picture than just the dollars that are in your bank account. And so we're going to get into all of that. Plus, the big thing is welcome to Substack, Tasha.
I'm here, and thank you for really being the reason I'm here, to be honest with you.
My pleasure. I love Substack so much, and I think it's such a great place to build community and to share, your expertise and to learn from other people. Like I'm just so fascinated by people, all the specialties and everything that people bring to Substack and everything I can learn. And so I love bringing people into the platform. So welcome. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
already getting out there sharing about rewiring your brain. And I just wish you all the success, and I'm happy to give you this little welcome party to Substack.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm sitting here going, gosh, how can I let everybody know we're having a party right now? My brain is going, send a message out. So if anyone's watching, send a message out. Let people know we're over here having this party, and we'll reshare too. But thank you, Shaun, for having me. And I do think, you talk about fashion. I do think we need to address the fact that we showed up very fashionably coordinated.
We did. It was just kind of like I don't know. We didn't plan this. It was just
Yeah,
a mental thing.
I love it.
So I love it though. It goes together very nicely.
Yes.
Would you so I'd like for you to like tell us a little bit about your background. How did you become a wealth coach? And then I'd love to kind of talk about your book and the work that you do and the neuroscience of having a wealthy mindset. Because I think all of us, like, we hear like setting goals or, things about saving money. We have financial counselors or, there's some session at work that talks about saving for your retirement, but nobody really addresses like, it's less common that people address the mindset part. And
Right.
your work directly gets to that. So I know
Yes.
that's a lot, but can you start with like how did you discover this for yourself? How did you get into this?
Wow. That might take us a while. So I'm going to give you a short version.
Okay.
How I ended up here is that I'm very much, I talk a lot about wealth with ease. And my life is the complete opposite of wealth with ease. I have hustled and efforted and sacrificed and done all the things that most people do to build wealth. And then for me, it failed. So it's kind of like we all got the same script, the same formula: work really hard, hustle, do all the things, and you will succeed. So I did that. I hustled, I sacrificed my marriage, my health, my business, all the things. And then we know the classic story, right? I lost it all. I failed. And I had this moment where I decided, okay, well, that didn't work. So now what? And I kind of made a deal with God, so to speak. I said, I've done it the hard way. I became incredibly successful and then I failed. There's got to be another way, and I want that way. And the other way for me was the complete opposite. And so in my personal life, I just became committed to learning how can I create a new way of experiencing wealth that does not include self-sacrificing, does not include hustling, does not include being away from my family, all the things that are really hard. I want to experience wealth with ease. And I really started out doing this so I could figure it out. And once I figured it out, I looked around and I saw all these other women that were literally doing the exact same things I was doing, trying to make their way to wealth. And I just decided, well, how about if I share with them what I'm doing? And that's the way that my business was born. But I think that's where I started. I would really love for everyone watching to get more of an idea of who I am through where I am today and the work that I'm doing. And I want to tell a quick story. And this happened probably last week. I was sitting around and I realized out of nowhere in wondered this thought. And the thought was, huh, how is my cash flow? Oh, how am I doing with my goals for 2026, like financial goals, right? And so in that instant, I realized I have a choice. And right now, my one part of my brain is going, well, you know how to solve this. Just go work harder, hustle, do more, get yourself under pressure, prove that you can do this. And instead, Shaun, I didn't do that. I
Mm.
picked up my credit card and I went and I booked a trip for $2,000. Yeah. Now,
Okay.
most people watching it and think like, okay, like what kind of wealth coach are you? That's reckless. Right. That's irresponsible. That's reckless. But what I recognized in that moment was that my mind, like in wandered a thought about money, right? Cash flow, business goals, results, finances. And my brain did this thing where it started to take me back to an identity that I no longer was. The Tasha who here came worry, here came fear about money, and I would go into hustle and panic and grind and go build another funnel, do another thing, more. And I recognized in that moment that's not who I want to be. And I could also see my nervous system was going into fight or flight, right? Panic. And I
Mhm.
just chose, no, I'm no longer her. I am the woman who wealth flows easily to. I am the woman who does not panic. I don't hustle. I trust. I am now the woman who I act from desire, not fear. And what would she do in this moment? What is it? What would she do that is a total opposite of fear and panic and hustle? And in that moment for me, there was a trip that I had had on my mind for some time. And I took my credit card out and I paid for it because that's what the wealthy version of me would do. And so that is, where I would love for this conversation to go because we all know how to work hard to make money. We do. We've done that, been there, done that. We're exhausted. And what I want to talk about is do you want wealth with ease? And if you do, what's it going to require to be different? How do you act from the identity and the nervous system of the woman who has wealth with ease? And so that's my work today.
That sounds fabulous. That sounds like not only like such a great personal transformation, but then to be able to kind of look at how did you change yourself and say, how can I use this to help other people achieve the same is really amazing. So I'm excited to talk more about this because, like you said, like the kind of formula that society tells us is to work hard and hustle and I mean, I've done it. Like I've had multiple jobs or I've become a workaholic, and all this stuff, and you burn out and you burn out and you're kind of just like laying there going, oh my god, I can't do anything more, and I don't have all the money that society said I would get for all this hustle, and then you end up with like medical bills or mental health bills or therapy bills, and then
Yeah,
that's not wealth at all.
right.
And so, like, I mean, just to even say the whatever form, like, I mean, I think some of us, will look at the way society says it should be done, and you keep banging your head against the wall, like, I just might not be doing it right, like I'm not, I'm doing it wrong, and think that, there's something magic about the formula that nobody told you that you're supposed to. But really what it is like a whole different system.
Yeah.
way of thinking. And like, it seems like what you've tapped into is almost kind of like a neuro hacking, but also kind of like a values alignment and almost a spiritual alignment. Like, what is that? How do you describe it?
It's all of those things. It's neuroscience, it's spiritual law, it's just the truth, right?
Mm,
And so when I talk about wealth with ease, for most high performing women hearing that, they will probably think that is radical, if not crazy, right? That's where your brain goes. Like, that's insane. No one has ever said that that's possible for me. And I certainly have no history looking around at the women in my life that anyone else has figured that out. So that's crazy. And then I'll say, it's actually, well, it's not radical at all. It's the truth. That's the formula. That's the way we came in. That's the way it was intended to be. If you go back to the scripture, if you go back to any spiritual text, it will say that you have been abundantly provided for. It was always meant to be easy. Look in nature for the plan. Everything exists in abundance. Money is just another thing that exists in abundance, right? The grass does not go, let me go out and till the soil today so I can grow, None of that's happening in nature. But as humans, we have bought into the lie that that is the formula for success. We have to hustle and grind to get it. And I just became curious about that. I was like, there's a saying, follow the money and you'll get the answers. Someone's benefiting when a ton of us are hustling and grinding, and there's a few that's making a lot of the money, right?
yeah.
Someone is benefiting when we follow that plan. And so I just became curious about that. I was like, I want to be radical about committing to a life that is in alignment with the truth. And the truth says, I have the human capacity, I have the mental ability. Spiritual law says, I am a creator. I can create any outcome that I desire. And the outcome I'm not going to create is working hard for money. I'm not,
Mhm.
right? I'm not going to create that. So for me, this really came down to exploring, reading a lot of text, learning, a ton of trial and error. And I'm what, 15, 16 years into doing this. But the thing that I can say is neuroscience proves, first of all, that we can create a brand new identity. So, okay, it's, 40 years of working hard, hustling, doing all the things for money. And my brain has said, Tasha, that's who you are. You're a workhorse. Okay.
Mhm.
Does not mean I need to live the next 55 years as a workhorse. Does not mean I'm imprisoned to this identity that my brain has created. Neuroscience says neuroscience, scripture says you can become a new person, but neuroscience says this is how you do it. You create a new identity, you create a new brain. There's a study done by some research done by Hal Hirschfield, and he said if you can emotionally connect to the version of you that you want to be. So we talk about her as wealthy me, the version of me that's not hustling. She's chilling on the beach. She's moved to Mexico City. She's living her best life, right? If I can emotionally connect to that future version of me, I have increased the likelihood that my reality will match hers. You have one of two choices. You can live imprisoned by the past identity, or you can choose to live as a future version of you, which for me is the wealthy version of me. Right. And so I really just became committed to, I'm going to spend as much of my time every day thinking as her, acting as her, making like bold, courageous decisions the way she would. I'm not going to act from the money that's in my bank, right? Because the money that's in my bank account right now is simply a reflection of the thoughts that I thought in the past. But if I am going to act as her, and if she is truly living a life of wealth with ease, and she's faced with this decision in this moment, what would she do?
Yeah.
And the more decisions I made like her, the more thoughts I had like her, the more I processed what I was experiencing in real time right now through the filter of what would she do? How would she do this? I found that my life actually started to look. I was sitting around looking the other day going, holy moly, 5 years ago, this life that I have right now is the life that I was dreaming about. And people will say, oh, you worked really hard to get it, or you did all these things. Actually, the thing that I did was every single day, I act as if I was living this life.
And was that through the letters to yourself, or did like it start with the letters, the Dear Wealthy Me letters, and then it just kind of expanded?
It's an entire practice that Dear Wealthy Me really um, is a body of work that distills it enough for someone to get started. But I'm going to tell you about another theory called the self perception theory. And there's a psychologist called Daryl Bem, and he did this study that says, most of us, we think, okay, I have a belief and then I take an action. So I
Mhm,
believe this about myself and then I act.
mhm,
And think about that. Actually, you came in, you knew nothing about yourself, right? You really just you started taking actions, life lifed, and
mhm.
through those experiences you created beliefs, right? So it's actually you were acting and then you created beliefs about life and about wealth. And so the reverse is true. You can go back and you can actually start acting the way you want to act to create new beliefs that create a new reality. And so, Dear Wealthy Me, what I realized for most high performing women, when I talk about Dear Wealthy Me, when I talk about wealth with ease, for them it was so far fetched because they had no model of what that could look like.
Yeah.
Right? They had no way. When I said you have to connect to her every day, it was like, well, how do I do that? I mean, I love the idea of wealthy me. It sounds really nice, but how do I do that? And so the
Mhm.
simple, basic act of, well, how about you write a letter to her every day? How about if you think, and what I've been doing on Substack is I started calling out some of the most negative thoughts I have, the most worrisome thoughts, like, I can't go on. I don't believe it's going to happen because we've all had those thoughts, right? I'm exhausted. I can't send the pressure anymore. We've all had those thoughts. So what I did was I showed, okay, I have those thoughts too. And then I ask myself, how would she process this? And then I write as her. But mostly, and you talk about the book, Dear Wealthy Me, Dear Wealthy Me is taking you through 30 letters where you write as her. You write from her versus writing to her, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
So you're putting yourself in her role, and is she writing a letter to your present you and saying, "Here's how you get here.
It's not
Here's how
so,
you get
it's not even so much here's how you get here is think about this. If I ask you, Shaun,
there?"
you are now wealthy Shaun, living your most amazing life. Money is no object, right? You're her. You're that Shaun. Write
Mhm.
about your day. Tell me what you wore today. Tell me when you woke up. What did you see all around you? You're literally writing from her.
Got it.
Okay. And so that thing where the brain actually processes reality through you figure out who you are by watching what you do. So when I ask you to write this letter as her, in that simple act, you have taken the 5 minutes it's going to take to write that letter to be her. You're literally for 5 minutes that version of you. And the
Yeah.
more you embody her, okay, remember your mind doesn't know, is Shaun making this up right now or is that real? Your brain doesn't know the difference between you're imagining it or reality. And when you write, it becomes more vivid. right? You
Yeah,
write in more detail. You're a writer. You write in more detail. You go and you go and you go, and you're like, and this red pants and this striped top, and and I'm walking around Mexico City having great food, and you going into all these details. And research shows that the more vivid you make this reality, the more vividly you can experience it. Your brain actually takes it out of Shaun is imagining this and goes into this is her reality. And then here is the neuroscience that I love. Why this is truly wealth with ease. Because now you have a superpower, your brain, that now turns it into reality. If you write these letters every day as her, your brain
mhm,
has no choice. Your brain believes it's your real life, right? So before you know it, whatever your version of wealthy Shaun is, you're going to have more experiences, more things showing up. Your life is going to reorganize to match the things that you're writing about because to your brain, that's your reality.
that's amazing.
That's easy. I don't know. I don't know how I get so excited about this because I'm like, I've been doing it the hard way. I've been working my behind off when literally my brain has been waiting to
For
get
you,
the chance to do the work for me. That's
love
like
it. I like that. I'm motivated now. I'm ready to start writing letters.
writing these letters, right?
I'm ready. I want to just say to anybody who's watching, like, if you have any questions or comments, I see all of you guys just so excited. But if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those, and we'll ask those and answer those questions for you. But yeah, now I'm excited. I want to do this.
I know, and guess is this is where it gets crazy. Okay, so you can create a wealthy brain. You literally can, like, think about this. If you could become a neurosurgeon, like, think about all your negative thoughts and your limiting beliefs and all the stuff. You're like, I know I'm thinking this, I know it's holding me back, I know it's preventing me. Now I'm like, okay, well, do neurosurgery on your brain. Right? Change it if you want, make it think all the things you want to think, and you're like, well, but I can't do that. Actually, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You don't need to go to the hospital. You don't need to go into surgery. You literally need to write from that version of yourself every day. You need to visualize from that version of yourself every day. And here is where it gets really fun. Act like her. Act
Yeah,
more and more like her every day. And in 28 days, science has proven through neuroplasticity, 28 days, you can change your brain from the version of you that worries about money, stresses out, works hard, all those beliefs to the wealthy you. 28 days. That's easy and fast.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait to get started.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get started.
So I see a whole bunch of people. I see some of the people that are doing the Substack version of Dear Wealthy Me, which is a new way that I've done that before, because usually, and it's really interesting. And I would love for those of you that are watching, that's my one thing, Tasha. I got it. Dr.
Yay!
Ebony's in the house. We had a conversation today about this. And Dr. Ebony, if you could just name it, because I know other women are watching, like, what's the one thing that you're referring to and that you're going to do? Because I know other women listening like to hear you say it, it would be helpful. Um, but usually, when I guide women through visualizing or a writing practice, the way the book does, the book is very positive leaning. The
Mhm.
way I've been doing Substack is very unlike me because I'm actually calling out a lot of negative thoughts. And it's interesting to watch. Some women have been very courageous and they're playing along with me, and others have not been. And one of the ladies on my team said, I went to your Substack and I really wanted to support you, but I saw the way you were being so honest with your thoughts, and I did not want to put my inner thoughts out there, like my negative thoughts, the stuff that I worry about, right? I didn't want to do it. And I was like, that's so interesting. And part, like, the marketer or the whatever in me would say, well, change it up. And I was like, no, actually what I want to show real women through real conversations, we all have these worries. I worry about these things too. And I've been doing this work for 15 years. But what I want to show, what I think is more valuable, is not to always be, let me show you how to keep dreaming about your wealthy life with your millions. But sometimes it's, let me show you when you get stuck or you find yourself in a thought pattern that you know is going to create a reality you don't want. How do you reframe it? How do you change it? And so that's what I've been doing. I think we're on day 15. We're on day 15 of the letters. And it, to all the courageous women out there posting every day, shout out to you. Kudos to you. Well done. And to those of you that are watching, I know it takes a lot of courage. And I applaud that, even that you're still participating just by reading. Probably you're journaling on your own. That counts too.
Yeah. And that's the great thing. I really appreciate you keeping it real, number one, and sharing, that, we all get stuck or we all, worry, and how to handle it. I think that's super helpful. And I think that's like one of the things I love about Substack is,
Yes.
like there are people who will share, people who will read and kind of lurk and learn from you and kind of do it on their own, but they're still part of your community. So and I love that Substack has a vibe where people are really authentic and vulnerable, and it's not like, other platforms where you kind of bring in your guru voice and everything's perfect and I know everything. So I
Yeah.
really do appreciate that. I wanted to mention, see, Dr. Ebony said, my one thing, journaling from the thought processes of wealthy Ebony and embodying her for the next 28 days and beyond. And she says, one thing, Tasha, is going to always be real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tasha's always going to be that. You can count on that for sure.
Yeah, and Dr. Ebony, I hope you don't mind if I ask if you could share in the comments, is this the first time that you've done this kind of journaling before, or is this something that you've had a practice of doing? Which
Yeah.
I think like once I read another book that was like Write a Letter to Money, and it was
Mm.
saying to like just to kind of help uncover the way you feel about money, but it wasn't like a daily practice. And so I think like, I wrote the letter to money and then it dropped off there and there was like no, like,
Yeah.
how do you progress and evolve? And
Right.
that's one of the beautiful things I like about this practice of Dear Wealthy Me is that it's a daily practice and every day you're making a little change to the way that you think and the way that your brain is working for you. And I think that that's really powerful, because it's progressive and it's on as long as you pick up a pen and paper or open a note on your phone, or however you're doing it to do it.
Yeah. And, the thing that I love about, well, truthfully, this has just served me. I've closets filled with journals, right? So I figured out that I've always, like my whole life, I'm a natural daydreamer. you know so
Mhm.
fantasizing for me came naturally. For some people it's not,
Mhm.
first nature. But one
Mhm.
of the things that I realized, it didn't take that long before I realized I was literally writing out my dream life, and then I was like, wait a minute, I'm living it. So, like, success leaves clues. And that for me was insane, because remember, my formula before that was work really hard and then you'll live your dream life. Except I
Mhm.
worked really hard and their dream life came nowhere near to the dream, more like a nightmare than anything else. And so when that model failed for me, I decided, well, oh my gosh, pen, paper, and time. Sign me
Yeah.
up. Sign me
Yeah.
up 100 times.
It's accessible, it's affordable.
And I mean, honestly, like, if you're sitting there and writing out about the things that bring you joy, that make you, we talk about wealth not being just about money, but really intrinsic wealth. What are the things that make me feel at peace, that make me feel joyous, that make me feel fulfilled? And I'm taking 5 minutes a day to write about that. I want to do that every day. Like, that to me is something I look forward to doing. And then
Yeah.
to think the result of this writing is not the joy and the all the good feelings I have in the moment. But the result is that I then turn around at some point in the future and go, I wrote about all this.
And you made it happen. And it
Made it
came.
happen. Yeah. And so let's talk about, because you, one of the things that you said was you really wanted to understand. And I think that's why I've kind of really switched my teaching now to neuroscience, right? Before it was very spirituality based, very law of attraction, manifesting. But I think if we can understand the science, so I'm going to give you an example. I also have this fun practice where every day I make a manifested list. These are the things I want to manifest today. And it's
Mhm.
crazy and random. And I'm hoping
Mhm.
one of the ladies will listen to this because she was my manifestation. So I have
Mhm.
three categories. I have fun, business, and magic. Okay?
Okay.
Every day I write something under those three things on my manifested list.
Fun
And so
business and magic.
today, yeah, so today under magic, I wrote I see a tiger. Random. Like, where am I going to see a tiger today? I have no clue. But that's going to be the magic of it, right? Well,
Mhm.
today, one of the ladies in my Substack community, she wrote about her ideal Sunday and she posted it today, even though that was the post for yesterday. And
Mhm.
in her post today, she talked about floating down a river, some river in India, and seeing the tigers, and the tigers are there, and the tigers are here. And they're like three times she mentioned tigers. And I was like, look at
Wow. That's
it's right. And so it's like, is Tiger's gonna put money in my bank account tonight? No. But you know what? That is just constant proof of how powerful we are by literally giving our brain something to focus on. And there's, the reticular activating system, this is how it works. Tell it what you want it to focus on, and it's going to rearrange your life to bring it to you. Now, I said I wanted tigers, and it brought it in less than 24 hours. The same thing for fun, the same thing for business. The more I do, the more I train my reticular activating system to focus on the things that I say is important, the more it's going to reorganize my reality to bring that to me. That, Shaun, is easy. That's
love
easy.
it. Love it. Okay, I'm going to read this note from Dr. Ebony. It says, no, not my first time. I'm part of Tasha's world. But as she's already said, this is not a one and done thing. My default is to work hard and overachieve, so wealth with ease seems too easy. For me, it's helpful to see and hear Tasha's example daily. And I think like I can relate to that because I've always been taught, number one, I'm the oldest daughter. How many oldest daughters are in the room who have always
Yeah.
we're the ones who are told we gotta like work hard,
Carry
and
everybody else, take care of
be
everybody else. Yeah.
the big sister, right? And but yeah, I've always had that kind of, if it's easy, there's something wrong. Like it's supposed to be hard, and I think that that's something we have to disconnect. Like that's not reality.
Yeah.
We're I think there's a system that wants us to believe it's supposed to be hard, but it doesn't have to be that.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Charlene says, excellent. Just the idea to write about it is fantastic, and writing really makes it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel you. If it's easy, there's something wrong. But I think that we have so much creative power.
Yeah.
My personal philosophy is like we were made in the image of a creator. And so to me, the way I interpret that is we were made to create. Everybody on the planet can create. And I think like we need to create. We have a need to create. And so why not create a wealthy life for yourself?
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, I need to do
Like,
it.
why wouldn't you? Right? Why wouldn't you create a wealthy life? And if there's an easy way to create the wealthy life, why wouldn't you just do that? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so good. Okay, so tell me, it is Desiree. Desiree says writing is magical, mystical, and miraculous. It is. It's very powerful. I've read so many, stories of successful people. The first one that comes to mind is Bruce Lee and how he wrote out like what he envisioned for his success that he envisioned. and it worked for him. And there's so many other people who have achieved great things who were writing about it,
Michael
writing.
Jackson. Michael
Yeah.
Jackson, you watched that movie, right? Like
Uh-huh.
he literally wrote his life. But let's dissect that a little bit because it's important. If
Mhm.
somebody comes along and says, you can have wealth and you can have it with ease, and here is how, and you either don't believe or you don't do the thing that somebody says, here, you can't have it, and here's how. And the reason I have found in my community through my own life is that for the longest time, I didn't believe that I deserved for
Mm.
it to be easy. So there was two things going on with me. I didn't believe that I deserved to be wealthy, and then layered on top of that, I didn't believe that I deserved to have it be easy.
Wow. Those are two big things to unpack. Those are two big things to unpack. And I think society programs us to think that we have to work hard,
Hmm.
that, a lot of us, feel like we don't deserve, you know?
Yeah. Who are you? What's so special about you? You know, your mother never had it, your aunt, your grandmother, your whomever. That was a lot for me. Was no woman in my family had it easy. Why should I have it easy? What's so special about me, right? But not to worry, I wrote an entire book about this too called Deservingness.
Oh,
So,
awesome, awesome, awesome. I
yeah.
think we all need that. I think we all need that. Where can we find your books?
So my books are all on Amazon. Healing Your Money Story is one, Deservingness is the other one, and the last one I just wrote most recently is Dear Wealthy Me. Dear Wealthy Me, not known to a lot of people, but only those watching here. I also secretly published a companion journal, a 31-day companion journal. No one even knows it's out there, but it is also on Amazon if you're watching, and that makes it easier for you to just keep up the practice.
Super, super. And then I don't know if you've thought this far yet about, because I know you just got into Substack. I think you have done like a great job getting out there with the 30-day challenge. What a great way to kick off and start engaging people. Like, what do you think is going to be next for you on Substack? Do you know yet? Like, are you still kind of figuring things out? Are you connecting with people? What's going on?
Yeah, I feel like I just met this amazing guy and I'm like falling head over heels in love. I think that's what Substack feels like for me.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It's like you said, I kind of I grew up. I grew my business on Facebook, right? So
Mhm,
Facebook is like my backyard. And then it just got interesting. But
mhm,
kind of felt like I missed the boat on Instagram. I missed the boat on TikTok. I don't want to be on TikTok.
mhm,
YouTube, it's a lot, And then I
mhm.
come over to LinkedIn, way too serious for me. And then I come over to Substack, and it's like, oh my gosh, for whatever reason, like you said, the vibe is no performing, no pretending, no, proving, none of this production. And it was
Mhm.
just such a beautiful place for me to just, I don't know, I just want to play. That really is the way I'm looking at Substack. I have no benchmark, no metric, no anything. I want to be the real Tasha. I want
Mhm.
to play. I want to show more women, as many women as possible. This is possible for you too. And I want to show women of color. This is possible for you. And it can be this easy. And you do deserve to be wealthy. And here is a way. Here's a practice that can help you. So, to answer your question, I have no idea where it's going from here. I just
Right.
know my constant prayer is that it gets used to serve a lot of people.
I think that's a great way to approach Substack. Just enjoy it. Don't stress, like don't feel like you have to put out so many tweets or, do perfect video edits or anything like that. Just get to know the people and connect and be real. And I like I started out just kind of like as a creative outlet, and I now want to build it into something, but I told myself like I really want to enjoy
Yeah.
Substack. Like, I always want to enjoy writing, and I do. I want to enjoy connecting with people. I've been a professional journalist and content marketer for a while. And like I've done blogging before and other social media, but I've never really taken the time to really get to know my audience. And so when I started my Substack and I really started going, okay, this is going to stick. I love it. Like I promised myself, like I really wanted to take the time to get to know my audience and not just like, oh, I got to get to 5,000. I got to get to 10,000. Like I'm not like, it's not about numbers. Like I really want to get to know people. So I think you're approaching it the right way. And I'm so excited you're here. I'm glad we could have this talk. Charlene says, I really like the substance engaging power. Yeah, yeah. So I'm so excited you're here. I'm excited to learn about Dear Wealthy Me. I'm going to start this journaling practice. I'm looking forward to learning more from you. And welcome to Substack. I'm so excited.
Thank you. And I am holding space that we get back on here at some point in the future. Be like, I want to share all the things that's happened in my wealthy life because I started writing these letters. That would be really powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's so many different ways you can use these live events. I just want to let everybody know who's watching that we will repost this live event. So, if you want to go back and watch it or you want to share it with somebody else, it'll be available to you. Yeah, we hope you guys and plug in to what Tasha's doing, like we can all become wealthy together.
And I do want to say, because I see a lot of people from my world on here, please go follow Shaun. She like there no really. So Shaun has a publication called Redressing, I think, right, Shaun? And I think your
Yes.
story is that you lost a significant amount of weight and had to do an entire new wardrobe. Oh my gosh. I comment on every single one of her posts because I am just amazed at the resources you provide, the different angles you take about fashion and changing. You had like, I think, an oversized shirt that you turned into scarves. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going back through my closet. I have so much in there. So I do want to say to everyone that's from my side, please follow Shaun because she's got like, she's just a great writer and it's great, great, great fashion stuff that she's talking about. That's also very real.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
You are welcome. All right, everyone. Thank you, Shaun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much.
great
Welcome to
evening.
Substack. Thank you, Dr. Ebony. And we hope to do something again sometime soon.
Yes, and so it is. All right, take care.
Care. Good
Bye.
night.